There are tons of story out there about hacked Pokemon games. Some are really quite neat, such as the one about a version you get a ghost Pokemon as a starter. Some are ridiculous silly stories about individuals dying after playing the game, or a game talking to them. God, don't these writers know less is more when it comes to these stories? Oh well, I digress. I grew interested in these hack games that are apparently in any thrift stores or on eBay or handed out by homeless people and to random passerbys. I didn't have the pleasure of greeting these creepy people. I really found this particular cartridge in a trash bin, the garbage truck, backing into my neighbor's dumpster. I noticed the game and I asked the trashman if I could take it. He didn't seem to mind. It's thrown away after all. I, of course, checked with my neighbor to confront if they actually didn't want it, though they seemed perplexed, as if they never seen it in their lives. Their son made a grab for it, a little boy who saw a Charizard on the cover, crying out, "Pokemon, I want it, Mom!" But his mother told him no. Seeing as if I found it, he didn't have a Game Boy anyways. He just liked Pokemon. Thinking nothing more, I simply went home. Looking at the cartridge sticker on the way, just a plain old red version. The sticker torn slightly across the Charizard's neck, but that's expected with such an old game. I had blue version when I was a kid, so I was a bit eager to see the minimal differences red version had. I was rather disappointed by what I saw when a title screen showed up. Pokemon StRaNgLe Red version. Well, damn it, it's a hack. Hacks are neat and all, but they had zero monetary value. The original ones are quite valuable by now. I wanted to play Red anyways, not this crap. Oh well, it's free. Might as well try it. The name was odd, however. StRaNgLe Red? That made no sense, not even in a morbid description as someone is being asphyxiated, as people turn blue when they're choking, not red. Who knows? Maybe there's a pair of these hacks, I just got a red one. The more I thought about this, though, the more interested I became. My original disappointment turned into curiosity. I wanted to know what the creator had made, and I was going to know everything that I saw. The first Odyssey I noticed that the start screen had Charizard next to the trainer instead of a Charmander. Also, the Pokemon never cycled through like the original versions did. It just stayed Charizard. Even after 5 minutes of waiting, shrugging it, I hit start. Noticing there's no Charizard cry as I did, like they were supposed to be. I saw there was a continue option, so I figured I'd do what anyone did to use the game to see what the previous owner had done. No. No? What do you mean no? The game wouldn't let me continue no matter what. So on a fourth attempt, I heard a Charizard cry. Quiet, very audible, but there. Shrugging off, I just decided to hit a new game, like I would have done it after checking the old file anyway. The screen cut to black for a while, no Professor Oak, no starting theme, just nothing at all. Eventually the screen came back, showing the bedroom, 2 beds, 2 TVs, and a computer next in the corner. My transpire was a usual one, consistent original red version. I was curious as to why it didn't even ask my name, though it answered as I opened the pause menu. Noticing my trainer's name is Steven. No, this isn't my real name or some stupid crap like that. This game isn't self-aware or haunted, at least not that I know of. It just had a name chosen already. Curious, I saw he had a start amount of money, no badges. He didn't even look like Red though. His hair was longer, almost reaching halfway down his neck. Red's usual smile replaced with a confronting smirk. Honestly, I found this sprite much cooler than Red. Next, I check his Pokemon, a single Charmander level 5 named Miki. Notice a nod about it, or should I say her. The name and all, she had to begin Charmander stats. Only knew Scratch and Tailwind, basic stuff. The game seems relatively normal. Returning to the game, I walk out of the room, noticing Steven's long hair was present on the back of my trainer sprite. When I walk and turned to the camera, I didn't recognize the house, but I descended the stairs to see more. Downstairs was another trainer who spoke to me, and instantly I came down. Ready yet? Yeah. I assumed this Mike was my rival, pro decided for me. A replacement of blue most likely. Though I thought back to the bedroom, having two beds, realizing they weren't just rivals, they're brothers. They talked back to forth basic Pokemon dialogue, became a Pokemon master, catch 'em all, stuff like that. Before having a little argument over which is better, Charmander or Squirtle, which of course led into the introduction battle, like the one versus Blue in the lab. Simple enough. Scratch, tackle, until I won. Purely for having the first turn. I took note of how much better Steven's sprite looked in combat than Red's. A different pose. His hair's looking like it was blowing in the wind. A brief, minor upgrade, but still, much nicer. I left the house after some banter with my brother, stepping out of a Pallet Town theme, going to the east. I found this was indeed Pallet Town. This house was simply on the outskirts to the west. I noticed there was no mysterious grassy field like in a normal Pallet Town. Wondering about, I decided to check on Red's home. His mother was inside, and when I talked to her, she commented on how handsome Steven looked, hoping her son would look up to him as a role model. For when became a trainer himself next year. Which of course led me to realize that this game took a year before original Pokemon. Ray was even upstairs playing an SES in his room, commenting, "I'm going to be the best too when it's my turn." I was starting to like this hack. It's interesting, a completely new adventure, a different character. Hell, Steven even seemed to have a history with the people in his town, a reputation, a personality beyond the silent protagonist. The people in town talked to him as a person. Making conversation, not just sprouting and crucial crap. Even Blue's sister had a new dialogue, and they seemed to be in relation too, as the dialogue ended up with a kiss and a heart over her head. Professor Oak simply wished me well, giving me a Pokedex to aid my adventure. He wasn't giving me to be a reason behind my adventure like every other Pokemon game out there. He gave it to me out of kindness. Something to help me on my way. A gift. I was liking this more and more with each second. The game seems to have an actual story now. I was somebody, not just some cookie cutter protagonist anyone could be. Not some blank sheet that could be replaced without notice. The story was different though. The actual gameplay remained unchanged. I went north like I was supposed to, from town to town, challenge gym badges, collecting them. Receive the prize of the leaders. Steven's frame even seems to spread as some NPCs would talk to like a new him, like they knew him. I used Miggy for every battle, and she was growing surprisingly fast. She handled Brock with ease, even pounding Misty with no trouble at all. She wasn't as adversely affected by super effective as others, or did more damage as the regular Charmander. She was a veritable powerhouse. She even became a Charizard at the mere level 25. Not bad at all, I must say. He started to get weird though as soon as I reached the average town. I know, Lavender Town is the focus behind every creepy story and the like, but this is only a place when it's noticeably different. There are no Team Rocket invasion, which I found odd, though I didn't remember this is a year in the past, so the invasion wouldn't occur until ReD's time. I tried to enter the Pokemon Tower, aiming to get a Ghastly, but that's when it go odd. I have no reason to be here. Steven wanted to go enter the Pokemon Tower. No matter what I did, this was weird. I mean, hell, there are a million places in Kanto region. You really have to know you need to be? A little random houses with nothing but children and NPCs, for example. Why is it here that Steven wouldn't enter? With a shrug, I figured I wouldn't need a Gaxley. Seeming as Mickey could handle anything, so I simply went on away, Lavender Town serving no purpose other than the passageway with the Pokemon Center. The game progressed normally from there, remaining gym fell, and eventually made my way to League 4 and defeat them. As Blue, my rival, or my brother, Mike, was there before me. Intimidated at a championship battle, which Mickey swept with ease. The aftermath of the battle was quite pleasant. None of the tensions that was present between Red and Blues at the end of their match. The brothers congratulated each other on their progress and shook hands. Before the screen went white, no Hall of Fame, nor any credits. The screen came back. It's at the house again. The two brothers sitting at the computer, conversing with each other. I don't want to. Come on, I just gotta borrow her for a second to finish the Pokedex. The entry wouldn't register unless she recognized me as a master, just for a second. But she's my Miki. I promise I'll give her back. Come on, please? I was a bit surprised, so I hit no to be contagious. Come on, please? I realized this would simply continue to loop until I hit yes, so I did, just to see what would happen. Alright, this will just take a second, then we'll both be Pokemon Masters. The screen changed in the animation shown when two people trade Pokemon, which I found a bit weird, seeing as I was solo. But whatever, this was the apparently supposed to happen. Miki went first. I watched lazy as she began to travel down the trading tube. That made me jump. This sudden noise brazenly in my silent bedroom, loud due to the volume being way up. Looking at the screen, I noticed the game had seemed to froze. Miki was still in a mid-trade. But the game wasn't doing anything. With a sigh, I just turned off the game and wondered where my last save was. When the game turned back on, I stared for the moment at the start screen. There's no Charizard next to the trainer. Upon pressing start, I hit a new game option was absent. I saw the new game option was absent, leaving only continue. This is strange, to say the least. I selected the game starting without even showing my stats as usual. My job dropped at what I was greeted with. 1 year later. Lavender Town theme came first, playing its normal way. The screen slowly fading from blackness. Steven was in a Pokemon Tower, which made the music even stranger, seeing as the tower has its own trainer. He was standing in front of a tombstone, not doing anything. Wonder what's going on. I press A. Confused, I was walking, realizing I was indeed in control at the moment. I brought up the pause menu to check on my party. Miki was gone. Not just Miki, all Pokemon. He had nothing. The Pokedex was absent from the menu. His bag was empty. Honestly, concerned now. I checked his trainer card. He had no money, no badges. His playtime was 8,795 hours, which was impossible as I only 30 log in before. But that wasn't the strangest part. His picture. His picture in a handsome, confident young trainer was different. His eyes were blank, his face slightly down, that smirk of his was gone, replaced with a lack of any expression at all. His long hair of his, before it was a perfect perm, was now messy, unkempt. I couldn't even look at him anymore. Closing the menu, I went to move out of the tower, but with every step I took away from the tombstone, the screen flickered like it did when the Pokemon was poisoned. Blurping, with the gulping, I brought out the trainer card again. This picture was getting worse. Every step I took, he hung his head more and more. His shoulders slipped. He bent over by the time I had exited the tower. He was on his knees, hands to his face, hair draped across him. I had guessed already what's going on, but this clenched it. I began to put some things together in my mind. I had always wondered why there's no champion in the original game before your rival. Why is it you? The protagonist had to be your rival when he just waltzed in. No previous champion to challenge. Then it struck me. The answer was right here. The previous champion has gave up. His precious Miki was apparently dead, and with her, so died of him. His Pokedex, the other Pokemon, his badges, his frame, all of it, he threw it away. In that year, the year that I missed, the year where all these hours came from, I even did the math. There was 8,765 hours in a year. Add that way to my 30 from before, and it matched up. Even so, the game kept going. This should be an ending, I thought. I mean, what else is there to do? I had no Pokedex, no Pokemon, not anything. What was I supposed to do? Or what am I supposed to be doing? I talked to everyone in town, but they all said similar things. Are you okay? Still mourn, I see. Everything will be alright. Please, is there anything we can do? Stephen never replied to them. But they all simply said the same things over and over. I couldn't even put the game down now. This is all strange. Curious, I head off to the tall grass and eventually got into the battle with a Rattata. No Pokemon was sent out, just Steven's sprite. I was wondering how I battle. While Rattata left you be. The battle ended without anything happening. This was actually interesting. It did happen with every Pokemon that I encountered. Wild Pidgey ignored you. Wild Ponytail wander off. The music never changed either. No matter where I went, the lavender town came from the speakers, following me. Sometimes I slowed down slightly, sometimes not. I searched everywhere, every town, talked to everybody. Wonder just what the hell was I supposed to do? My frustration was mixing with the depressing atmosphere of all this, making an experience altogether unnerving and uncomfortable. I couldn't tear myself away. I was starting to get up a bit angry though. Nobody telling me anything. Nobody was giving me their collections and trying to give me items like lemonade or coffee, with each met with no. I set myself to the idiocy, suddenly realizing how the likely answer was right in front of me. Pallet Town, of course. When I went there, though, which took a long time having to walk, no Pokemon to fly with, no bicycle to ride, and Steven only seemed to have moved half a regular moment's speed. It wasn't much different. I first tried to talk to Professor Oak. These things happened. You were just unlucky. I tried Blue Sister. Please don't leave home again. Red's mom won't even talk to me at all. with nowhere else in mind to go, I walked to the west, finding the house from the beginning, which I had never entered since leaving the pallet town. Inside was Mike, but talking to him was just as useless. I'm so sorry. I pondered for a moment if this was the ending. Stephen doomed to do nothing but roam Canto in misery. Haunted by memories. Forced to listen to everyone's concerns about him. As at least ditch efforts to do anything. I wanted to be the bedroom. I went to the bedroom and walked over to the bed. I'm going to sleep. The screen faded to black for a moment, and then it suddenly faded back in, the world's having a black tint to it. Mike's body lay in the other bed. I assumed this meant it was night. I'm going to do it. I had no idea. I tried expecting anything in the room. Nothing happens. As soon as I left the house, another dialogue. What is he going to do? You can bring her back. You can do anything. What the hell is it? Something that could do anything. I couldn't, for the life of me, figure it out. Wondered about. I tried to leave the pallet town in the usual way. Not that way. You won't go any further. I tried the homes. Screw them. I quirk my eyebrows a bit, forgetting for a moment that this is not a real Pokemon game. Virtually, it just took me off guard. I continued to look around, but there's nowhere else I could go. Suddenly, I accidentally step on the ocean and seem to walk right in. The only upper half of the sprite visible, like the swimmers you encountered in the Cerulean Gym. I didn't know he could swim. The missing one. No, he couldn't mean that. I haven't tried a missing no trick on this hack yet, but it's just fit too well that it had to be what he meant. I surf all the way to Soldier Cinnabar and began to feel something was off. More than anywhere was silence. The Lavender Town theme has stopped. There's no noise at all. Nor were any Pokemon. I just kept going, finding Cinnabar serving up and down on the East Coast. Lo and behold, Wild Missino appeared. Mine! Wild Missino was caught. Steven do anything. He just committed the audacity of a broken data to join him. No, because it's possession. And it did. I was getting more and more disturbed by this all. Checking the start menu, I saw Missino was not in my party instead of an item. Making things even stranger. I checked the trainer's card as well. Steven has his back to me, his long hair draped behind him, his hands in his pocket, nothing else. Remembering what he said at the start of this night, I realized what I had to do. I served land and made my way northeast to elsewhere, Lavender Town. Along the way, I noticed all these trainers are oddly still out at this hour. He wouldn't even look at Steven, all of them, turning when he passed. Even those were normally static. I tried talking to one of these officers in the guardhouse type buildings. Just go. They all said the same thing, though one said chills down my spine. Sometimes dead is best. My hands were sweating at this point. Steven was about to try something the impossible. Something would seem as a crime against nature, which many of those people share that option. I steel myself. It's just a game, and I was going to complete it. I took the entire reach of Pokemon Tower. When I got there, eventually, I took a deep breath and heading towards the tombstone, remembering which one. The image of Steven standing before it was burned into my mind, after all. First, I tried to inspect it. Mickey. Nothing happens. With a gulp, I opened the menu and selected Missing Note from the bag. Steven, don't use it! I was reminded of when Professor Oak would magically tell you that you couldn't use a key item somewhere. Like when you're using this bicycle in the building, though the message this time was different, even worse. Steven responded to it. In a world that cheated me, why should I play fair? Steven used it. Steven update. I couldn't tell you because the game took away my controls. Without an input, Steven began to leave the tower on his own, walking angles step by a single step. Lavender time started again as he left the tower and began his excruciatingly slow journey against my will. Every time he crossed one of these borders, the music would change. It got progressively slower, more disturbing. By the time it reaches cerulean acidity, it's a demonic rumbling. I just watching him, trying to guess where he was going. But it's getting more and more obvious he was heading to Pallet Town. The music had all but stopped. But when he got there, playing single note by single note, he went exactly where I had guessed. Right to his own house, inside, up the stairs. At this point, there's no music. Steven would move step by step, stopping on his brother's bed, turning to him. At first, I couldn't. Though the game froze, he couldn't do anything. I simply stood there. I couldn't move him. I did, however, find out I could open the pause menu. I was terrified to look, but I couldn't stop myself. I selected his trainer card. There's a loud growl noise. Third Pokemon card. Steven was looking at me again. Directly at the screen, he was hunched over his bags, obscuring his face. His hair was wild and feathered out. Between his bags, there wasn't even a face at all, just black. Two red eyes looking straight forward. Oh, grin. Consistent with the darkness, it wasn't all. His name was now Steven. I couldn't look away. My eyes were glued to this. Not breaking contact for some time. My vision was getting blurry until I couldn't see very well. My face grew wet. There's nothing I could do to hold back the tears. I was with this boy from the start. I built him for greatness and was then forced to watch his decline after the tragic accident, and now he's this thing, this abomination. Halting my tears, wiping my eyes, I closed out the trainer's card and tried to save the game. I wanted to just quit. The game informed me this was impossible. I watched him go insane. Nothing could be safe now. The pause menu couldn't close no matter what I did. So with no option, I checked the bags, nothing happens. I checked the Pokemon. There's one Pokemon. A single sprite met me. It has 0 HP. It says its name's Mikri. I selected it. And I guessed it with the 4 options. Status. Her. Switch. Never. Close. No. Strangled. My fingers shaking. I selected strangled. And the menu closed, showing Steven in the room again. Goodbye. The game shut off. I was more dumbfounded than frightened. In a bit of shock, I turned it back on, the tile screen showing the maniac's even in a horribly glitched Charizard. I pressed start, then continue. I saw was a zoom out of view of Pallet Town showing Steven's home to the west, tall grass surrounding it. These unmovable stories blocking it from the rest of the town. The image was completely static, no music, no movement, before fading to white. Going back to the tile screen, it it was it had been when I first popped it in, a trainer and a Charizard. I attempted to hit continued. No.